So then my first question to you is, how does an American wind up in a Danish metal band way back in 2001? I mean, now it's not a big thing. People are in all kinds of projects, but this was this is going on 15 years for you.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, I had made up my mind in high school that I was going to go to Europe and join a metal band, because this was back in the Napster days.
Right.
I was discovering all these bands, and they were all from Europe. Bands like a lot of these Swedish bands like Soilwork and In Flames and At the Gates, and then bands from Finland like Nightwish and Children of Bodom. All these bands that use keyboards in different ways.
Yep.
And were full of melody. And so thanks to Napster, I was exposed to all this stuff, and I just became so hungry for it, and I was like infatuated with it. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do with my life, is I'm going to Europe and I'm going to join a metal band in Europe. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And so I made up my mind, and I followed through on my conviction for that. And I actually posted I joined a band in Australia. So when I was 18, I flew to Australia.
Wow.
And I played with this band that I found on mp3.com.
Yep, I remember that.
Of course that didn't work out, because it was my first band ever, and I was 18, and I was ignorant, and I didn't know how things worked in a band, and all I knew was that I wanted to make music,
Yep.
So that didn't work out, so I came back, and the day that I came back to the States, I wrote a message on the Vakken open air message board, and I said, I'm a keyboard player from America, these are my influences, and I want to join a band in Europe. And Michael Kameyer wrote me back that same day, and we started corresponding, and I made like a audition video of me playing, and I sent it over.
Yep.
And and the rest is history, I suppose. January of 2003, I flew to Denmark and recorded my parts for Melancholy Beast.
Wow. So now since then, obviously you've gone through a lot of changes since 2008 was the last album before the new one, and you guys went through a lot. First, you get Matt Barlow to sing on the last album. He leaves because he wants to go back to Iced Earth. Of course, then subsequently he leaves Iced Earth again. So you guys get Urban Breed, who was in Tab Morose, I believe. He's there, and then both Michael and Nils leave, and Urban is gone too before he even sings a note with the band. At that point, there's three of you left. Did you guys ever consider, well, that's it for Pyramaze?
Well, Michael kind of, he put it in our hands to decide what we wanted to do. We could either hang it up and move on, or we could, and this was just myself and Toke and Morton,
right,
that were the remaining members, and or we could find new members and move forward. And there's no way that I was going to let it go, man. I mean, Pyramaze has been my passion in my life. It's my backbone. It's been everything to me. So even if I was the only one that wanted to continue forward with it, I would have done so. There's no way I was going to let it die. So, but anyway, the first and only person that we asked to replace Michael was Jacob.
Right.
And he agreed right away. He was very excited about it and enthusiastic, and it made sense because he's always been our producer.
Right.
So he's always kind of felt like another member of the band anyways. Like, it just wouldn't seem like Pyramaze without Jacob involved in some capacity.
Right. Well, that was kind of my next question. I mean, here's a guy who, he is your producer, but he also is a producer of a lot of different bands. So it's not like he needed the gig or anything like that. What was your big selling point, or did he even need one?
He wanted to join the band because he loves the music. He is good friends with all of us. I guess he's always wanted to play in a band with Morton because Morton is one of the best drummers in Denmark.
Yep.
And I think he sort of the appeal for him also is that he can be in a kind of a top tier professional band without having to commit to touring all the time.
Right.
And that was actually the same appeal from Matt Barlow, was because he wanted to be in a band that he liked and was in a genre that he could thrive in.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a family too, and he has a job as a police officer and so forth. And so, Pyramaze is kind of an anomaly in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's amazing that we've achieved the level of success that we have, given that we've only played 16 shows in our entire existence.
Yeah, I know, that is amazing, isn't it? But that shows you, I mean, if you're making good music, I think people don't care,
Right.
So you get Jacob in, so he's good to go, but you still needed to get a singer. So how did you find Terje?
It's actually pronounced Teria, but close enough.
Come on. I knew I was going to blow that.
I didn't know how to pronounce his name until I asked him personally.
There you go.
So I'm with you there, my friend. But Jacob had worked with him previously in the studio with some other projects, and so Jacob was the one that suggested him. And so we had Teria demo up some vocals on the song that ended up being called Unveil.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just pure power, and we knew that he was a good fit because he has this new sound, but he also he's got some range and he has a lot of power in a wide range, kind of like Barlow.
Yep.
We just wanted to try someone new and someone that was undiscovered, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, because up to this point, you've got Matt, who's obvious. He's going to sound like he sounds.
Right.
And people are going to associate that a little bit with Iced Earth. So and obviously other guys, Lance King and Urban, have been around too. So they're more of a known quantity. So to go with an unknown was kind of interesting then, huh?
Yeah. That held a lot of appeal for us.
Yeah.
Because we gained a big audience when we got Matt Barlow, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of Iced Earth people then heard about us and so forth. But so we just feel like we're established enough at this point, at least, where we could go with an unknown. And Matt Barlow was unknown before he joined Iced Earth. So
exactly. Well, and the thing that I noticed is just the vocal of Teria. Jeez, I'm terrible at this.
It's a hard one, man. Teria.
Yeah. His voice, for me, is what really makes that album. Not that it isn't a great musical album, but it's like this, his range and the power, and I love the tone. His tone is just incredible, and it just takes it to another level. It kind of separates, to me, he's now separating you guys from everybody else. That's what I think. Obviously, I did my big review and whatever for the site, but it's just talk about a find.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did get lucky with him because he's also a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's very humble and he's excited to be a part of things. He's excited to replace Matt Barlow. That's a big deal, I think, for any vocalist. And
sure.
But yeah, he has his own sound, and he's a great singer. Sometimes I even hear a little bit of Chris Cornell in his voice. I don't know if you picked up on that at all.
Yeah. That kind of, I don't want to say Zeppelin-y quality, but that higher end kind of stuff. The tone is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. But now, songwriting. Now Michael was obviously a big part of the songwriting. How did the whole process had to change with him not in there? How did you guys approach it this time out?
Well, as soon as Jacob joined the band, he was very excited, and he started writing songs. And I know that Toke wrote some music, some riffs, and stuff like that. And then I contributed some songs as well. Obviously the intro, because that's the signature Jonah thing to do. And then I wrote Back for More and When Black Turns to White.
Mm-hmm.
So we each kind of contributed some. I think Jacob contributed the most,
mm-hmm.
Which makes sense. But
sure.
I can't even remember the original question, but I hope that answers it.
No, it was just kind of the overall process. So it was a case of situation where you guys kind of all had to pick up the slack, basically,
mm-hmm.
which is rallying the troops kind of thing, or whatever you want to call it. But
yeah. And as far as the lyrics go, we we brought in Henrik from Anubis Gate to do it because none of us could write lyrics very well.
Oh, okay. See, that's what I get for getting a digital copy of the album. I don't get any liner notes, so I'm reviewing it. I'm like, well, it would be nice to know who wrote everything, but that's okay. I'll ask.
Yeah.
But
I tried writing some lyrics, and they ended up being kind of corny. So we were just like, well, we should find someone else to write the lyrics,
Well, that's good. You can't go wrong there. Anubis Gate is another great band, another great Danish band, and obviously you've got the same drummer, so that it's not like you got to ask permission or anything. So that's good.
Yeah, and Jacob used to sing for them also.
Oh, that's right. Jeez. Okay. Well, everybody knows everybody in Denmark. That's one thing I'm finding out too. So yeah.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as how you personally view Disciples versus the other albums, personally, I mean, this has obviously got to be a little bit special because the chips are down, and you guys were basically half the band was left standing, and to be able to come from that to where you're at now with this release, and I know there's been a lot of good press on it, not just my review, but I've seen a bunch of them. Does that make this album a little more satisfying than the rest?
I mean, the good reviews we've gotten have certainly been encouraging to all of us. Tell me your question one more time.
Sorry. How do you think that Disciple stacks up against all the other ones, the other albums? Sorry. I ramble sometimes. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, and then I'm thinking of answers to all your ramblings. But I think it's our best album to date.
Yep.
I also think that we're capable of doing better even. Maybe that's shooting myself in the foot or something like that, but honestly, this is us picking up steam again.
Right.
So this is like the rebirth of the band, and I feel like as we continue to grow and gain momentum now with this new lineup, that it's just going to get better. So the fact that we've received so much positive press and feedback from this album is it's very motivating and makes us feel good about all of the hardships we've been through to make this possible.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Now, you also did your first music video, which must have been pretty wild, because that's everybody's kind of dream. I think if I'm in a band, boy, I want to do a video, especially one that looks as cool as that. How was it doing that first video?
That was great. The director, Thomas Theater from Sweden, he did a great job, and then we had a lot of fun making it. I especially enjoyed the grand piano scene.
Yep.
And and then it was edited, and all the effects and stuff like that were put in by 12-inch Media, which is a company based in Scotland, I believe.
Wow.
But yeah, it came out great, and everyone seems to be pretty receptive to it. And we're still getting about 2,000 views a day on it. It hasn't showed any signs of slowing down.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I've noticed is you got to get a video out there nowadays. Even though MTV doesn't matter anymore, but YouTube sure as hell does.
Oh yeah, YouTube is definitely taking the place of MTV 10 times over. And it's really fantastic for a band like us that isn't able to play live all the time, or as much as we would want to be able to get out and reach all these fans all over the world. And they can see what we look like, and they can see what we sound like. I mean, it's phenomenal. So it's a very, very useful resource for us, and one that we will continue to pursue in the future. I can say with authority on that matter.
Cool. So we can anticipate more videos, and that's going to happen. So do you have any idea of what song might be picked for the next one?
I don't know if we're going to do another video for Disciples. But I can say with certainly that we'll be doing another video in the future, maybe for our next album.
Sure. Now, what's next? You guys don't tour a lot. Have you considered doing any shows for Disciples?
We have one festival this summer. It's the Kløften Festival, and that is in Denmark. And it's a one-off gig. I think the problem was for this summer is all the festivals are already booked up, and so the timing of our album coming out, and with us having taken a 7-year break, I think that 2016 is going to present more opportunities for us to get out and play festivals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we just have one booked right now.
That's all right. That's a good start. You know, get your feet wet, and you still. I mean, do you have anyone in line for bass at this point, or is too far off?
We don't. It's something that we've discussed a lot as a band, whether we even want a bass player, because we have so much chemistry as friends and bandmates that we're worried about ruining that by bringing in someone someone who has an opinion and an ego, and you know,
No, that
like
makes sense.
us guys that are in the band, we've all known each other for 10 plus years, and have this long history together, and we're just a little bit apprehensive, I guess, about bringing in a new member. If we do have a bass player for a live, then it would just probably be like a hired gun or something.
No, that makes sense. You know, it's easier that way. There's less. I mean, that's what Genesis did, which, you know, I'm not going to argue the big Genesis versus the trio lineup, but getting rid of people, they found it much easier to write music when you've got the less opinions coming to the table all the time. So
yeah, absolutely. So it's just us guys now. You know, we're just rocking and rolling.
Now, how long do you think it'll take for the next album? I know we're going way in the future here, but we're not going to wait another 7 years, are we?
No, absolutely not. I promise.
Okay.
That will never happen again. We're all starting to write and come up with ideas, so it's good to at least be headed in that direction. That's all I can really say at this point. There may or may not be plans to make another album.
That's fair.
Okay.
No, that's fair, because I mean it's been a while, but you guys have definitely had a rebirth. I mean, I think a lot of people are like, oh, Pyramaze is still together. I'm sure that was kind of the initial response, but it's like, yeah, not only are they together, but arguably better than they've been. So it's impressive, very impressive.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Not a problem. It is
Yeah.
huge. So
Thank you.
all right, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
All right, take care, John.
All right. Yep, have a nice one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.